I am pleased to be joined by my next guest. He's a caddy of 40 years, Billy Foster. Won the U.S. Open a few months back with Matt Fitzpatrick, and you've caddied for basically anybody who's been big in European golf. Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia for 18 months. Who else? I mean, you just name it. Darren Clark, captains, Ryder Cup heroes. I mean, you've been a part of 15 Ryder Cups yourself, so quite a career. Billy, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, thanks, mate. I feel like a dinosaur after that introduction, but yeah, it's been a great 40 years, and like I said, it's like it's like being on a 40-year bachelor party. Really, I've seen it's like a Clint Eastwood movie. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, speaking of the 40 years of bachelor party, there's been a lot of friends of yours over the years that thinking of Johnny Longsocks, Johnny McLaren, so many of these guys that have now gone to the Live Tour. And what do you make of what Live has done here in terms of, this adjustment?
It's a bit of a prickly subject for everybody, isn't it? But I'm a pretty honest, humble bloke that shoots straight from the hip and tells it as it is. Like I say, I would say 10 of my best mates that I've caddied with most of my career. I'd say probably 7 of them are now on the Live Tour, which and getting treated like kings. Which is and when you listen to them giving you a bit of abuse and saying how good they've got it, and they're playing 3-round tournaments and playing for millions of dollars, and there's 48 players, and they've got it good out there. But on the flip side, will they be still saying that in 2 years' time? I don't know. It's opened up a can of worms where the PGA Tour's come out fighting, and we're very fortunate that it's a win-win for everybody, because we're playing for, well, not me personally, but the players are playing for obscene money. It's it's double the money, because the PGA Tour's got to fight back against the Live Tour, I guess. And unfortunately for me, I've grown up since 1982, 83, where one of the first tournaments I caddied in, I caddied for Tony Johnson from Zimbabwe, and he finished 7th in the Portuguese Open, and he won €1,000, $1,000 basically. And I got 5% back then, and it was like $50 percentage money for finishing 7th, and you had to, as a caddy, you pay your own way. And I had to get from England to Portugal.
Oof.
Couldn't afford to get on an aeroplane, couldn't afford any decent accommodation, and there was no yardage books, no range balls, no credit cards, no mobile phones, no internet, no sat nav, no nothing. Everything was like 2 days on a train or buses or hitchhiking on motorways. I slept in a bush one night,
Oh man,
and I slept in some horrible places. But it was a case of I was traveling to learn more about the game myself, to make my own golf game better, and just to do a bit of traveling around Europe, and I was going to do it for 2 years and quit, and here I am 40 years down the line, and caddies are flying around on private jets, and everything. They're staying in nice hotels, and they're playing for multi-million dollars and flying on the boss's private jets. It's yardage books are provided for you, which are so brilliant. A caddy don't have to do his job like they used to do. And that's why you're seeing so many friends, girlfriends, brothers, sisters, cousins, ex-players, whatever.
college.
Everybody's caddying. Everybody's
Yeah,
caddying, because now caddying isn't what it used to be. So it's so brilliant. The money's so great that everybody wants to do it, and the yardage books are so brilliant that it's taken the way of the true form, the true art of caddying that it used to be. So anybody can caddy, basically. Guys can turn up and buy a yardage book now and play a golf course pretty much without really seeing it, without really having to do a couple of hard days homework. It's all there for you. So it's that's why you're seeing so many friends and relatives caddying. It's as simple. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, is that, and that just kind of is what it is, or is it hard for like the real diehard caddies like yourself who came up along the ranks to kind of see
No, listen,
some of that,
I just get on. I just get on with my own stuff, and listen, like I said, the Clint Eastwood. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I've been very fortunate to see the good. And right at the end of my career, there you go. Matt Fitzpatrick knocks off the US Open. I mean, I have no arguments whatsoever, but I can see guys that have been out a long time and struggled and worked hard, and then all of a sudden everything changes. And yeah, I can see a few of the old guard being a bit bitter and twisted, but I'm not one of them. But I can see the point. But the game's evolved, and it's a different game to what it used to be. It's like today. I've been on the range with Matt Fitzpatrick, and it's the information of reps and the TrackMan and this swing weight and putting weight in the grip, and it's the lofts, the lies, and everything. Everything's like a science. All of a sudden, it's like just trying to get that extra 0.5% to make it better. And I was telling Fitz a story today. Ian Woosnam was #1 in the world, and at the time he was #4 in the world, and he came to the British Masters at the Belfry in England, and he's like, I can't hit this driver. He'd signed with this Japanese company, Merriman, and he was really struggling with the drivers and this and that. And I said, "Oh, Woozy, I've got my golf clubs in the car. I'll get my driver out if you want." "Oh yeah, bring it. Let's have a look at it."
Oh,
And
that's
this is
funny.
going back. This is going back to like the probably mid-90s. I went to my car, pulled out my driver, which it was a Mizuno TP11 persimmon headed small driver with a steel shaft, and it was like an inch shorter than standard, which would suit Woozy being a short ass. I said, "Hey, Woozy, try that light." And he went boom, boom, boom. He says, "I love that." He says, "I'm taking it out in the tournament." I went, "What?" And he played with it. He played the whole tournament with my driver. That would never happen today. I mean, it's not. Everything has to be absolute a science, like of let's get on the TrackMan and let's just try and confuse myself to the hilt and come out with every number going. It's like, wow, it beggars belief at times. I shake my head at times just thinking how much these guys try and confuse themselves with. It's almost paralysis by analysis, and you see so many guys get to the top of the game and then they change things.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking like I can't really name names, can I? But we all know them. And there's been plenty of them where they get to the very top of the game and they just want to go that step further and improve even more. They'll change manufacturers, clubs, change the swing speeds, long drivers, long putters, short putters. And it's like they go from like top 10 in the world, #1 in the world, and they disappear off the planet because they do something that they don't need to do. It's bizarre at times, but hey, listen, it's been a great 40 years, and I know my days are numbered, but listen, I've had a great time, and the game's never been in better shape. I know at the minute there's a lot of arguments with the LIV, the PGA Tour, and unfortunately, the one for me that hurts me, like I was starting to say 5 minutes ago before I went on a rambling of the last 40 years, was the one tour that I've grown up all my life. And like you said, I've done 15 Ryder Cups, and the European Tour's a be all and end all. And when I grew up with, originally it was like your Sandy Lyles, your Nick Faldos, your Seve Ballesteros, your Ian Woosnams, Langers, and then you went on to Montgomery's, Westwoods, Darren Clark's, etc. Garcia's, Lazabar, that was the heart and soul, the heartbeat of the European Tour. And them lads always used to support the European Tour. And now it's like, it's done because all the best players now either come to America or, the devil comes calling and they're on the LIV, and it's whatever you want to call it. It's I don't know where the European Tour's going, and it breaks me heart, to be quite honest. That you get 1 or 2 good tournaments in the desert to start, and then they're not playing for a lot of money, and they go here, there, and everywhere, all over the world until the Scottish Open in July, basically. And the thing is, the PGA Tour's condensed its season from, say, January until August. And there's so many good tournaments in America that, the guys struggle to get a proper schedule of spreading the weeks, because there's so many good tournaments that you don't want to miss them. But you end up missing really good tournaments because you can't be playing 5, 6, 7 in a row. You want to play 2 or 3 and have a week off, or a couple of weeks off, and then play another 2 or 3. But you're almost getting bullied into playing so many in a short space of time. So that stops you playing the European Tour until maybe September.
Right.
So the European Tour has been squeezed by the throat because all the top players want to play the best tournaments. But I think it's a bit unfair what's happened, and unfortunately, out of all the tours, the European Tour's the one that's suffered.
Yeah, and where does that lead, do you think? I mean, you're so passionate about it. You grew up on that tour, and now just with all these elevated status of the PGA Tour, people want to stay in the States. So what does this mean for the future? How do you see this playing out these next few months, and how does it affect relationships?
I don't know about relationships. Everybody, listen, golf's a selfish sport, and everybody just wants to look after themselves. So they don't really care about anybody else. But that's the brutal, honest truth about golfers, and I don't know where it's going. It's let's see what happens this week. There's obviously a court ruling in London this week regarding the likes of Henrik Stenson, Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter, etc. Are they going to be banned from playing from the European Tour? Are they going to be banned from being included in Ryder Cup teams, etc.? You Sergio Garcia's, it's like, I would like to see the likes of Westwood, Stenson, Poulter, Garcia still be involved in Ryder Cups. All right, maybe it's at a stage that they might not be playing anymore, but they've certainly given so much over the last 20 years inside the locker room and on the golf course that just not to include them and for their experience, and even if it's in the backroom staff or whatever, I'd still love to see those guys be involved. But I don't know. It's maybe I don't know enough about it, and maybe there is a lot of bit of twistedness and guys not liking them going to that side and coming back in. And I guess the feel as though some guys on both sides of the pond feel as though them guys have left. And why should they go make fortunes on live and then come and cherry pick where they want to play in the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, the European Tour, as I was always call it. Right. And I can see certain players that are on the European Tour or the PGA Tour, they don't want them players coming back and choose an event they want to play. I sort of like to see that. But I don't know what the answer is. Personally, I think you just like to see the best players. The PGA Tour is a different animal, I know that. But in Europe, for me, would you like to see some very average players? I'm not naming names. Or would you like to actually say, well, actually, what if Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau and Cam Smith and Henrik Stenson and Lee Westwood and Sergio Garcia, Ian Poulter want to play in Wentworth or wherever it is? I'm sure the public would love to see them. But what the answer is beyond me.
Right. But
it's
you
a
did
tough one. It's a tough one, mate.
Yeah, and you can't take away history. I mean, Sergio Garcia is the all-time winning points getter in all of Ryder Cup history. This is including the greatest that have ever played. I mean, it's crazy.
To me, I caddied 5 years for Seve Ballesteros, who was the linchpin of making the Ryder Cup what it is today regarding nastiness and hatred and passion and desire. And he would slash the fella's throat and rip his heart out and present it to him on a plate on the 18th green to get a point. And he made the Ryder Cup what it is today, you know. But you look at those guys, like you said, Sergio Garcia is the biggest point scorer of European golf ever with whatever it is, 25 points. And then Lee Westwood's like number 3 on the all-time list behind Faldo at like 23. And then you got Poulter, who's played 7 Ryder Cups and never lost a singles. You know, they're very inspirational European players. And to not include them, for me, I won't be doing it. I'll be including them, but that's me.
Right. Yeah, I've always said that. I've always thought that the spirit of Seve lives on through Team Europe, you know, as you've gone ahead in these last 20 years, you know. And well, he passed in 2011, but so I guess we're looking at 12 years since then. But still, like that spirit, that united spirit of the Ryder Cup European team has been so strong. And you did mention working for Seve for 5 years. I'm curious, what's a favorite memory? You've got so many with Seve, but what are a couple favorite memories? And you can use that Seve voice that we all know so well that come to your mind from looping for him.
Listen, when Seve used to play a Ryder Cup, when he put his spikes on in the locker room, and as soon as that European logo went on his breast, and he put that European hat on with the logo on his hat, and last but not least, he put like the European dog muzzle on. He used to have a muzzle like a demented dog, like a demented Rottweiler, frothing at the mouth, walking to the first tee. He just wanted to rip the American's heart out. That was, and he would like crawl over broken glass to get half a point or a point or whatever it was. He was like an absolute animal. He was the most determined golfer of all time, I believe. Really, you know, he was. He fought like a junkyard dog to get everything that he got out of the game. You know, but there's one funny story that because Seve was renowned for bullying referees, and you know, he'd like be a hard man on a golf course, and if he could get away with something, he would. You know, referee, come and have a look at this. You know, I want this, I want that. You know, there's a rabbit scrape here. And, you know, he was a tough man. You know, and he was playing with Tony Johnson at the Dutch Open at Kemina Golf Club, and it was a 6-hole. It was a blind tee shot over the top of the hill, and Seve was a big bomber. You know, back in the day, Tony Johnson was just a steady knocker. You know, he'd hit it like 270 back in the day, and Seve be 300, and that was, you know, back then, 30 years ago, it was big hitter, like, you know. So they played this hole, blind tee shot over the top of the hill, and the second shot, it was a dog leg to the right, but on the corner of the dog leg was a tree. So they get down to the first ball. Tony Johnson stops at the first ball, about 270 off the tee. He's blocked out by the tree on the corner. Seve goes walking past, ball 30 yards further, clear shot to the green, perfect. So Tony Johnson is now looking at this shot and he's thinking, I can't go over the tree, it's too high. I can't go under the tree because it's thick, rough under the tree. I'm going to have to chip it out to the left, short left of the green, trying up and down it for par. But then he notices a sprinkler head like 2 or 3 feet away from his ball. He thinks, if I can get my foot on that and claim I'm stood on it while I'm playing my shot, maybe I can get a club relief to the left. Might just be a skirt around this tree, you know. So he's
going prayer.
Oh, so now he's doing the splits to get his foot on this sprinkler. Seve says, come and have a look at this. So now he's nearly doing the splits to get his feet on the sprinkler. Seve's come across and gone, what is it, Tony? He says, Seve, you see me, my foot's on the sprinkler. He says, can I get a drop? And Seve goes, Tony, I am so sorry, yeah? Tony, I'm so sorry. You know that is not your natural stance, eh? So I'm really sorry, but I cannot give you a drop, eh? He said, good, Seve, that's your ball, mine's over there.
Yeah. What was the look on Seve's face at that point?
Oh, it'd be like he won't be amused. No, it'd be like face like thunder. Yeah. I mean, the first time I caddied for Seve at the Masters was 1991. And I'd never been to the Masters before.
Wow.
So I got there on the Saturday prior to the week of the tournament. So he played Saturday on his own, nobody else, just Seve Ballesteros on his own, round Augusta. 7 hours practice round and a one ball. He had like 50 chips, 100 putts, every hole. Showed me every blade of grass he'd ever shot off in the 10 previous Masters. And we got in, I was absolutely shattered. And he played Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 5 practice rounds.
Oh, my God.
And you know what Augusta's like? It is the most mentally demanding golf course of the season. And elevation-wise, it's one of the most physically demanding. So after 5 practice rounds, I was like, I've had enough. I want to go home, like, you know. But then,
Boss, let me go.
Then the tournament starts. So I'm thinking, I know Augusta like the back of my hand now. I've just listened to Seve Ballesteros, 2-time champion for 5 days. I know this golf course now, like, you know. So, and we tee off. The most amazing thing happens off the 9th. Seve hits the fairway. So we go down there. Billy, how far we have it? I said, well, you've got 144 yards, mate. Okay, give me the pitching wedge, eh? I went, no, Seve. I said, it's 144, but it's 6 yards uphill and it's into the wind from the right. I said it's playing like 155. It's a 9-9. Okay, Billy, you're a very good caddy. You're the best caddy I ever have. I think you're a fantastic caddy. Give me the 9-9. So he gets the 9-9 out, believes me. Now the pin's on the front left, just over the bunker. And you know, it's a 3-tiered marble staircase. He hits this 9-9 all over the flag. And he's taking paint off the flag because it's landing. I'm like, oh, well, this is going to be like a foot. Crowd are going to go mad. Thousands around the green throwing hats in the air. Woo, baba booey, all that rubbish, you know. Lands on the green. Silence.
Oh.
Billy, you see the ball, eh? Billy, you see the ball? I said, it looked good to me, mate. And he starts running up the hill because obviously all you can see is the top of the flagstick. So you can't see where the ball is. He goes running up the hill. And I'm right in the valley at the bottom of the hill as he gets level with the front of the green where his eyes, he sees where the ball is. Sure enough, it's back edge.
Ooh, that's a tough one on 9.
Hit the downslope of the bunker or something, gone up the back edge. So now he's got an 80-foot putt down a 3-tiered marble staircase with about 10-foot break on it. You know the rules. So he sees the ball. He turns around at the top of the hill. Bearing in mind, it's 10 deep, all down the fairways, round the green. There's a couple of thousand people all around the green. I'm like, and he screams at me from the top of the hill, Billy, you son of my bitch, Billy, you son of my bitch. I'm like, oh no. And I got all the people in the crowd going, hey, nice club, kid. I'm going, oh, piss off. And I'm taking the walk of shame up the hill to the 9th green. And I'm greeted by the ugliest scowl, black eyes piercing through you. He just wants to slash your head off and shit down your neck. Why I listen to you? Why I listen to you, you son of my bitch? Anyway, so he rips the putter out of the bag. And I'm like, I go stand at the back of the green. And he hits this putt. He surveys this putt for like 2 minutes. And he hits this putt straight across the green to the other side. Sideways. Don't even go at the flag. And it stops in the fringe. Now he's like 70 feet away. He's still 70 feet away in 3. And I'm like, oh my God. He's going to go absolutely bananas now. He's going to actually could kill me. And I'm looking at the clubhouse, thinking I may as well just run to the clubhouse now. But then the notice the ball starts trickling back. I can see the dimples on the ball just turning over slowly. I can actually read the name on the ball at the time as it's rolling back onto the green. T-I-T. I thought, I know that already. And it manages to spew its way back onto the green. It trickles down these 2 tiers, one by one, you know, 10-footer break, and it parks itself 4 inches from the hole. I'm like, oh, get out of jail free there. What a putt, like, you know. And then the scowl, the ugliness. He comes up now, he's got the most radiant smile on his face, and he's like, he's hugging me, he's got his arm around me, patting me on the shoulder, and Billy, Billy, it's not your fault, eh? No, Billy, let me tell you. Billy, I'm telling you, it's not your fault, eh? It's mine for listening to you. Oh, my God. Welcome to Augusta, 63 holes to go. Oh, my God. But the guy was an absolute legend, and, 95% of the time I loved him. 5% of the time I wanted to headbutt him, but
Yorkshire
it was a
Terrier.
hard taskmaster. Yeah. But it was a great character, feistiest golfer on the planet. Like, and if you in match play against him, he's the one guy you won't want to play because he'd be hovering over you, just coughing and spluttering, and just you're always aware he's on your shoulder. Like, he was. The gamesmanship, and he was a hard competitor, but he was an absolute warrior, the ultimate warrior.
Yeah. When you've called him also a legend of a man, an incredible talent in the past. And I'm curious, when you look at your current player now, Matthew Fitzpatrick, what do you feel are kind of his greatest strengths that really separate him from everybody else? And you mentioned Augusta National. When you go to Augusta with him, how does his game match up with Augusta?
Who Fitz?
Fitzy, yeah.
When I first took the job, it was the end of 2018. So I'm just about to start my 5th year, and I could be sacked after this podcast. But I always thought Fitz was a really steady, nice player. Of course, which he is. And I thought, well, what's he going to do? He didn't have a PGA Tour card. I thought, well, he'll play in Europe, and he might win one a year, and he might possibly make a Ryder Cup team. Nice steady job, nice steady job. And I went to a meeting, and the few guys around the table, his coach, his physio, his manager, his mum and dad, and a few others, myself. I'm just listening to what they say. And Pete Cowan said to him, "What's your goals, Matt?" And at the time, I think it was like 48th in the world. He says, and I'm expecting what's your goals. I'm thinking he might say, well, I want to get my PGA Tour card, or I might want to win 2 tournaments in Europe, or I want to make the Ryder Cup team. He says, I want to be world number 1. I'm like, what? I almost started laughing. I'm like, you're joking, aren't you? I thought, if you can get in the top 20 in the world, you'll be doing well, son. It's like, but I sit here tonight talking to you. I think he's 9th in the world, whatever he is, and he's turned into a different animal. He's twice the player he was 4 years ago for various reasons. He's obviously in the golf ball a lot longer than he used to do, which helps incredibly. But the one thing about Fitz is, I look at the guys I've worked for. Your Seve Ballesteros, your Lee Westwoods for 10 years, your Darren Clarks for 11 years, your Sergio Garcias, Tiger Woods I worked for a week at the President's Cup. I've worked for some real Thomas Bjorn when he should have won the Open and left it in that bunker 3 times. I've worked for some really good players, and then Fitz is the one you win a major with. And why is that? Well, the reason is that he drives the ball incredibly well, so he's always in play. He's one of the best putters that I've seen. But the one thing that makes Fitz really, really special is his work ethic, his professionalism, and his mental attitude is way beyond his years, and some people might argue, well, he's not the ball striker that say Garcia is or whatever, or he don't chip it as good as Phil Mickelson or whatever. He don't drive the ball as long as Rory McIlroy or whatever. But the whole round package is he doesn't really have a weakness in his mental attitude, and his work ethic is like no other. So he's got many, many good years ahead of him. whether the old dog that I am will be able to limp round like fluff cow and follow him for all those years, I very much doubt it. But he won't win one major. He'll win more than one major. It might take him another few years to win another one, but in which case I won't be there. But I mean, he's a top player, top player.
Yeah. Well, you had said that he is one of the best putters you've ever seen in your career. Just one of the absolute best.
He's an aggressive putter. You know, it's always got pace. You know, which the poor putters are always just feebly just reaching the hole. You know, the great putters give it a run. You know, because they're not scared of the 3-footer coming back. You know.
So are there any adjustments that need to happen at Augusta? Like when he goes into Augusta, does he have to take scale back a little bit on the speed, or what do you see with that, with him matching up at Augusta?
He's got everything right. He don't have to change anything. It's one thing about Fitz. People say, well, do you think he can win an Open Championship? Do you think he can win a US Open? Do you think he can win the Masters? And I think he can win anywhere. And that is because his all-round game is very, very solid. You would say certain players, they can't win there. Fitz can win anywhere. So you don't have to do anything different. No. And the one thing is that in major championships, you know, it's like, you know, I worked for Lee Westwood for 10 years. My God, he could have won 8 majors. You know, if he'd have had Fitz putting for him when it mattered, he'd have certainly won 3 or 4 majors, Wesley, you know, and certain things happened in certain majors that he was robbed, but more normally than not, he didn't hold the putts when it mattered on a Sunday of a major, you know, and that was one of the most frustrating things. You know, he got to #1 in the world putting like Edward Scissorhands, you know. That's how good he was. Tita Green, he was unbelievable. You know, he hit a 5-iron and it had gone, he had to go 200 yards, and after it had gone 20 yards, I could tell you that's within 10 feet. He was that brilliant with his distance control. His ball striking, the purity was incredible. And Fitz had to put it for him. He'd have won many majors. But as we say in England, if my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle.
and you can't have it all. I mean, that's just the nature with the game that we're playing these days. I know it's a work week for you. In just 20-30 seconds, tell me what it's like at 16th hole. We're wrapping up here, but what's it like on 16th hole at Phoenix? How crazy is it?
It's like no other. It's like I went out there today, you know, you got the music banging out like you could hear it 5 miles away, you know, and it's like you walk into that cauldron of, it's a football stadium. It's a very simple, short par 3. It's a 9-9, a wedge. There's nothing to it. But when you walk into that cauldron of, it's like Mel Gibson, Gladiator, walking into that arena and they're baying for your blood. They're baying for your blood. They want you to shank it or top it in a bush. And it's like, I don't give a damn. It's like walking onto the 17th at Sawgrass. It's a 9-9. Get over yourself.
Yes,
these are the best players in the world. But guess what? They keep cocking it up because it is a pressure like you've never experienced. And I walked out there today. It's like, makes me laugh. The bullshit of it all. It's like, it makes me chuckle because you walk in there, it's like, wow, this is like absolutely banging. And that's on a Wednesday morning at 10:30. Well, we're going to get there at 5 o'clock on Friday night when they're all tanked up with 15 beers inside them, giving dogs abuse for every shot. Yeah, and those, I don't give a damn who it is. It could be Tiger Woods. They feel a pressure that is completely different when you stand on that tee.
Yes, it
like
is.
they do at Sawgrass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another pressure. It's another level of pressure.
There's so much more we could cover, Billy. I know it's a work week. I'll be sensitive to your time, let you get up for your first round. But hey, really enjoyed it, and we'll catch up again soon, my friend.
No worries, Gary. All the best, pal. Take care.
All right, buddy.